So there's a new Ghostbusters film out. Great, I'm in dire need of a good laugh. I could really do with a good comedy.
Everyone that has seen it says that they cry at the movie, so it should be an extremely successful comedy.
Oh. Okay, so Ghostbusters. Let's have a quick look at the franchise before we dig into the new film. We have the original film, which came out in 1984. Then we have the sequel, Ghostbusters 2, which was released 5 years later in 1989. Then came the 2016 self-titled Ghostbusters film. Yeah, that one. And now in 2021, Ghostbusters Afterlife. So 4 Ghostbusters films, but as this one takes place in the same cinematic universe as the first and the second one, then you'd be right in saying this is basically a sequel to Ghostbusters 2, isn't it? Well, I'm not actually quite sure about that. They really seem to be trying their best to retcon the second movie for some reason. That's from my viewing anyway, but we'll get into that later. Anyway, a brief plot. In the film, a single mother and her 2 kids inherit an old house in a small town in Oklahoma. After they move in, they experience some supernatural goings on, which seem to relate to their recently deceased grandfather. And the spoilers start now, because that grandfather, ladies and gentlemen, is none other than Egon Spengler, an OG Ghostbuster. While going into this film, my expectations were kind of middling, I'll be honest. I absolutely adore the original movie, and I love the fact it was able to get across this tone of horror and comedy across to the audience so amazingly well. Like, in between the laughs, of which there are many, it's actually quite spooky and really kind of profound in places.
Every ancient religion has its own myth about the end of the world.
Myth? Ray, has it ever occurred to you that maybe the reason we've been so busy lately is because the dead have been rising from the grave?
This new film doesn't really have any of that for me, and I guess that's because they're trying to go for a more family demographic this time around. It was something between the Goonies meets Ghostbusters, which makes a lot of sense since you've got the lad from Stranger Things in there. That kind of makes it feel a little bit like that. But I couldn't help not being reminded of the film Tremors, which is in a similar setting to this, and does manage to get that tonal balance of comedy and horror across really, really well. I mean, don't get me wrong, it lands better than the 2016 version of Ghostbusters, which didn't even really feel like a film, just a bunch of sketches, comedy sketches tacked together with a ridiculously cartoony story. But anyway, back to Afterlife. I'm a massive 80s geek. I was born in that era, so a lot of the films I love are from that time. So I was really excited when I heard about a new Ghostbusters being made, especially when it was going to be, you know, in the best hands it could possibly be in. The thing is, nowadays you don't actually get new films. Maybe I'm just sounding really super cynical here, but you tend to get these soft reboots, which are aiming at getting the older audiences in, as well as appealing to a new audience as well. We've seen this with the likes of, you know, Star Wars, Jumanji, the latest Star Trek, and Terminator Genesis, and if you can think of any more of these, do throw them in the chat. So yeah, not only are they trying to appeal to my generation with the Ghostbusters coming back, kind of, but they're also trying to do it with the ghosts coming back. Yeah, Gozer the Gozerian is back. I mean, you couldn't tell a brand new story. I really expected the Stay-Puft Marshmallow Man to make an appearance somewhere. Oh. Ghostbusters isn't that one-note franchise like that of Halloween, for example. It has way more potential. There's infinite ghosts to bust, so why are we busting the same ghosts as before? I'm talking about the first film. Why did they stop with the first film? As I said earlier, it's almost as if they don't even want to mention the second film. They're constantly watching footage of the events that unfolded in the first film. And sure, there was a Stay-Puft Marshmallow Man walking through the streets. That's big news, but nobody's going to even mention that the Statue of Bloody Liberty walked through the street as well while everyone was singing along to a Jackie Wilson song. That wasn't news. I'll be honest with you, I would have rather watched a film about the original Ghostbusters getting back together to take on a new threat. They don't have Egon anymore, obviously, but they do hire a new recruit. I mean, I'm pretty much describing the official Ghostbusters game, come to think of it, which is a better sequel. I mean, I haven't played it in years, but I do remember thinking it was absolutely brilliant. But anyway, I love this idea. The older Ghostbusters would have to come to terms with the fact they're older, and that could bring in some new jokes and new obstacles along the way. You know, rather than ham-fistedly throwing them in at the end of the movie for like 5 minutes to save the day, along with, you know, Egon's ghost. Honestly, I get how that's going to be super emotional for people. It's really sad that Harold Ramis isn't with us anymore. But having him show up as a ghost, could you imagine that same thing happening happening in the first film, it just wouldn't work. The tones are completely different. I mean, what's next? Do we see the ghost of Leslie Nielsen show up in a heart-wrenching scene in an aeroplane sequel? And you know what? On-screen time matters. It reduces these characters that we've grown up with and loved to mere cameos in their own movies. It's like they're just coming on screen to wave so we all feel warm and fuzzy for 5 minutes as we're all pointing at the screen.
It's just waving. Why is it waving?
Shall I say you want to do less waving?
It's not limited to characters either. We also get a load of Easter eggs. You know, obviously someone's going to say who you're going to call. There's a Twinkie in there.
That's a big Twinkie.
And you can even see Louis Tully's helmet from the first film, plus the soundtrack too. It's basically the same one as the first movie. So if you ever forget you're watching a Ghostbusters movie, don't worry, because they will shove that right down your ears so you'll never forget.
I like to torture him.
Ghostbusters 2 never did that. It didn't refer to the other movie as much. And whether you like it or not, it's its own film. These nostalgic cameos, to coin a phrase, just mould the film into some sort of greatest hits, and it just feels like a formula to make money rather than push the story forward. So yeah, in conclusion, I didn't really like the movie that much, you might have gathered. But you know what? They're gonna make a sequel. It might go in a new direction, let's see. No, let's be honest, they're just gonna remake Ghostbusters 2 at this point, aren't they? Anyway, I'm gonna mark this film 1 big Twinkie out of 5. Thanks for watching, everybody, by the way. If you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time in another video.